Welcome to CratePro 5. You're viewing the Getting Started with CratePro video, 1 of 2, Company Settings. When launching CratePro for the first time, you'll be taken through the Setup Wizard. Here, you'll enter a variety of data that CratePro needs to initialize itself for your unique environment. The Setup Wizard prepares CratePro to be used the way you want to use it, but it's not intended to completely configure the program. After running the Setup Wizard, you may want to only change inventory prices and billing rates, or you may want to make intricate changes to get the weights, times, and prices exactly the way you want them. The first portion of this wizard will require us to answer some basic questions, and the rest of the wizard provides us with an overview of how CratePro works. This video will cover the first part of the Setup Wizard. So, let's get started. Here, we're going to enter some basic information. Everything in blue and red is required information, and your phone number cannot be changed after CratePro is installed. The email address can be used to register CratePro, so if you intend to register via email, be sure to enter your address here. Let's go ahead and enter some information, and let's make this Joe's Crating Company. And let's say that Joe is at 123 Main Street, and Joe is in Anytown, Pennsylvania, and we'll make the postal code 12345. Okay, well, of course, this Joe's Crating, then the contact person is going to be Joe. Let's make him Joe Smith. And for Joe's phone number, let's say it's 800-555-1212. Now we'll go ahead and skip the fax number here. Notice the bulk mail insignia. You can add a bulk mail insignia here if you do bulk mailings out of CratePro, or you can just leave it blank or leave it the way it is. Okay, let's enter Joe's email address, and let's call it joe@joecrate.com, and Joe's web address, www.joecrate.com. Okay, and let's go ahead and continue. We're going to get a message asking to make sure that everything's okay, and it is. So let's go on to the next screen. This screen is straightforward for most users. If you select another metric country, CratePro will use metric values, and you'll be prompted for a currency exchange rate between the US dollar and your local currency. Since CratePro comes fully populated with data, this allows CratePro to better estimate your initial material costs before any changes are made. If you're in Canada or Mexico, or another country that may use imperial measurements, but use your own currency, select the Canada or Mexico options. Depending on the option you select, there will be a variety of different options behind it, but for right now, we'll just make the assumption that it's United States, and we'll press continue here. And we'll say continue again. It's going to take a second, and CratePro is going to set itself up just for use in the United States. Now, if your computer is connected to the internet, you can use CratePro to email your registration and communicate with customers. From here, enter your email address if you haven't already done so, and we have, and enter your SMTP server. The SMTP server name is provided to you by your internet service provider. If you use Outlook, you can find the SMTP server name where you set up your email accounts. If you're using CratePro on a laptop, be aware that the SMTP server is often unique to the ISP, and when you're connecting, you may find it difficult to send email or trying to send them while you're at a customer site or while out of the office. So let's go ahead and set up our SMTP server, and we'll say it's smtp.joecrate.com. And from here, we'll go ahead and continue again. Now we can select from here if we want to register CratePro via fax or email. In CratePro, registration is required to receive an activation code to make sure that CratePro keeps working beyond the initial 30 days or so. We could send the registration via email if we set up our email. Now, we didn't really use a real company, so I'm not going to use email here. So I'm going to go ahead and select fax to send our registration in via fax. When we do that, we're going to get a screen and a print dialog box. Send this to the printer. You would say OK for right now, so we don't send it to the printer. I'm just going to say cancel for the purpose of the demo. Okay, and from here, we're going to start setting up CratePro for your own unique operations. We'll say continue, and we're going to get a dialog box that asks us if we mass produce pallets or we use mass production equipment for pallets. If you do use mass production equipment to make pallets, select yes here. If you don't make pallets or you make them by hand, select no. If you do mass produce pallets, be sure to view the video that's specially for pallet manufacturers. So we're going to go ahead and say no. And from here on out, any settings you make can be changed later in the setup file. Now, since I selected no, the screen that I now see excludes any settings for pallets. Everything only pertains to crating. If you selected yes, you'd see added fields that pertain only to pallets. Set those added fields according to what we discuss here. CratePro allows you to track sales and profits in the way that you want to. Some manufacturers track their hourly cost and their billing rate. When set up this way, your profit will be the difference between the two. In this case, we've got $35 cost per hour and $45 billing rate per hour, so our profit is $10 an hour. Now, some companies use a markup or margin over cost, and some companies use a combination of the two. If you bill by an hourly rate, set up CratePro similar to the example shown here. You can use the regular, overtime, and on-site rate as defaults. Depending on how you set up permissions, a user can select from one of these three rates or enter an entirely different rate. If you bill based on a profit percentage, set the respective billing rate and hourly rate to the same value. So in this case, we have an hourly cost of $35 an hour, and we're going to change our billing rate also to $35 an hour. So now in this case, on the regular rate, we wouldn't make any profit. The computer is going to tell us that it costs us $35 an hour to make a crate, and we're selling it for $35 an hour. So to use the markup method, we can go down here and mark up our labor. So let's say we want to mark up our labor 50%. Now doing so, what we've done is told CratePro that hourly cost is $35 an hour, but we want to add 50% to the labor. So in this case, we're going to be making, I think it's $17.50 an hour off from our labor. Now, for the demo, I'll go ahead and set all this back. We'll put this to 45, and we'll set that back to 0. Now, if you add a flat percentage for materials, such as in the example here, go ahead and add that amount here. Don't try to account here for material waste. CratePro handles that separately in the inventory file, and we'll discuss that at a later time. If you have an absolute minimum price that you charge for crates, go ahead and enter that here. CratePro will adjust the total selling price of less expensive containers to assure they aren't sold for any less than this amount. CratePro allows users to design crates by inside dimensions or content or the product dimensions. Industry standards exist for how a crate is measured or called out. The inside dimensions option meets the requirements for these industry standards, and that is the default for CratePro. As an administrator, you have the ability to allow or disallow users from changing this setting when creating the design. This option is available to meet the needs of retail craters that typically design by the content dimensions, and to allow for special circumstances when designing by content dimensions because it's more convenient. That's it. Your basic setup of CratePro is complete. And you'll have the option to print out some CratePro's documentation. These are in PDF format and can be accessed later from the help file, and the documentation is also available on our website, www.cratepro.com. The next video will continue from here. Be sure to review this second video because it contains some important information that's vital to understanding how CratePro works. We'll see you there.